All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Small World Podcast. Quick PSA before we get started. I am a little bit stuffed up, so I'm going to sound a little bit dumber than I usually do. So I apologize for that. But I'm really excited about my guest for today. He is Yudai, founder of Asakana, another company from UC Launch. And I'm going to start this podcast by saying that about 2 weeks ago at UC Launch, we had this like boot camp essentially, right? All the teams fly in and they spend the entire weekend just working. So Yudai and I were planning on having a chat, hanging out for a little bit, but it didn't end up happening because him and his team were so locked in the entire time. They did not freaking leave, I tell you, not even for a second, leave the like room that they booked. Okay, so every time I walked by, all of them staring into their computers, just typing away, working. So it was really impressive to see. They made a lot of progress over that weekend. I'm sure they're making a lot of progress overall as well. So I'm really excited to get to know Asakana. I'm really excited to get Yudai's opinion on where everything's going and how he's going to shape the world in the next couple of years. So Yudai, thank you for joining me. And please tell me a little bit about your company.
Thank you very much, Nikita. And I appreciate the way you organized the UC launch, and that was fantastic. And sorry that I wasn't able to have a chat that time. About Asakana, Asakana is an AI sales rep for seafood wholesaler in the US. Coming from a background, I was a former fisherman, fish wholesaler in Japan, and I would like to solve an issue that seafood wholesalers are missing 20% of their revenue because they're too busy to pick every call and every reply, every text message they receive. So we are implementing those AI agent feature that can automatically capture those calls, email, text messages, and capture those revenue that they've been missing.
Awesome. And I want to talk about, obviously, you came up with the idea, given that you have a fisherman background, but how did you essentially know that it's the right time to go from being a fisherman to starting a business?
I see. So the reason why I said that there's a big mission that I have is I would like to improve in general the quality of seafood and the cost of reduce the cost of the seafood here in the US for everyone in the US to have like better access to better like higher quality of seafood. And I was looking for what are the ways to do that. And then the key term here is transparency because seafood industry is stuck in a dark age and everyone is working very manually still. Um, that's one of the reasons that people cannot really give a comment to like improve the quality of like any kind of services associated with seafood. And now coming here and understanding the industry more, um, adding more transparency is the way. And then because of the AI enables all those like people who haven't been in this digital world to actually onboard this without changing any of their behavior.
So you said it's in the Stone Age. Let's like just kind of role play for a second to paint a picture of what it's like right now. I'm gonna pretend to be a restaurant owner. You're gonna be a supplier. I give you a call and I say, "Hey, I'd like, I don't know, 50 pounds of salmon." What do we do from there? Like, how is it such a bitch of a process?
So currently it's like, oh, I also need to make sure, hey, like, what do you mean by sermon? Is that an authentic sermon, like from Norway? And I also messed up. Oh, actually, I made a mistake. Oh, the last time you ordered from the chili one, so that you maybe you want the chili one, right? And maybe your specification, your like the special request is, don't you want like portion cut? Always you want like 5 pound portion cut and skinless loin, right? So those like a very tiny detail that you need to make sure with your customer. And that's why it takes time, and none of the current solution can handle those detailed specifications.
And on top of that, how do I know who to go to, right? Because I'm pretty sure that the market is pretty fragmented. There's a lot of suppliers. So if I'm just some restaurant that's just starting up, how do I know to go to you versus the 50 other people? How do I even know what you have, right? Is
Yeah,
that kind of other problems that people are facing right now?
exactly. So maybe the dinner restaurant owner has 3 to 4 seafood wholesale suppliers, and
Hmm.
then there should be like 1 or 2 main maybe like wholesalers. But in case they cannot supply well, they are like maybe higher than maybe their cost is higher than normal. They need to go to other one. And but still, because I explained that there's no lack of transparency in this industry, that restaurants don't know what other wholesalers out there. That's one of the issues that we want to give the transparency in the future.
Do you think that is something that the suppliers would push back against, right? Because the less transparency there is, the higher the prices can be, the more they can kind of like keep customers away from each other.
Yeah.
Have you gotten
It,
any pushback from them?
if we do like full transparency, yes, but we definitely want to respect how the wholesaler, the suppliers want to work with restaurants. So what we are providing right now is just a sales like agency, like AI agency that targets the current existing restaurant customers they have. So you wouldn't lose any of the like customer basis because you just capture communication that you got from restaurant customers.
Interesting. Okay. So I always thought like when I originally talked with you, it's like if I'm someone new, I'm gonna get a list of a bunch of different suppliers and I can pick and choose. Is that gonna be a
That's
feature as well? Like
Yeah, that's a B2B marketplace idea. We thought about it and we are still thinking maybe that could be an option for us to move through. However, as you mentioned, there will be some pushback from wholesalers saying, hey, like, I don't want to be compared. So that there should be some kind of incentive for wholesalers to go onto the marketplace if when they are like willing to, when they are confident to be listed on our like marketplace, then they should be listed. That's a way I picture how we should grow, starting from the just order management system to the B2B marketplace business idea.
that makes perfect sense, right? You integrate yourself in there and then it's kind of hard to get rid of you. As well as once you get one person kind of going, right? They have access to a lot more customers, right? Because you're bringing them customers. All of a sudden they have no choice but to kind of become on the platform. There's that moat.
Exactly.
Pretty exciting. So let's talk about where you are right now. Have you like you're just building the product. Have you had anyone use it yet?
Yeah, we are working with two like potential pilot customers, and they've been using our product, and in order for them to like try out specifically like the price distribution feature, and also like checking with us to like validate which specific feature they would like to have on our AI agent feature. That's a kind of a communication we have with our customer right now.
Sweet. And where are you going to be taking Asakana in the next 6 months?
Next 6 months, we definitely want to launch our like AI agentic feature to the customer and want to maybe that's one thing that we want to capture more customers and then want them to use our products. At the same time, we also think to we're also applying to YC, Y Combinator, and before I graduate MBA, I would love to like get a spot to the next YC batch.
That would be awesome. And we're cheering for you. Yudai and I off camera before this started did a couple like YC questions. In my opinion, he killed it, but I'm not a YC partner, so I guess I don't know. But in my opinion, he answered them really well. I do also want to, we looked at 6 months, but where does Asakana stand in 10 years? How are you guys going to take over the market?
Yeah. In 10 years, we definitely want to have more than like 60 or 70% of a market penetration in the US. And we want to go beyond the US to maybe the next biggest, the biggest market is going to be China or the Spain, Italy, those like European countries. At the same time, and because I have an advantage of being Japanese, I will definitely target Japan as one of our next targeting area. So maybe global expansion is maybe the next 10, maybe 10 years, the picture of 10 years in Asakana.
That's exciting. So where does the supply of fish come from?
Yeah. Globally, the seafood comes from everywhere, like mostly from China, or those East Asian countries provide a lot to the US. And especially for the salmon product that the American loves, coming from Chile, Norway, a little bit from Canada, maybe some Scotland, those like European countries. So those are the main sources of salmon products. But if I give you a number, like 80% of some US seafood products are imported, domestic at 20%. At the same time, US also export like almost like 70 to 80% of their product to the world. So lots of the factors that US doesn't really consume their own product but export to others.
When it comes to exports, obviously Trump has been, imposing a lot of tariffs recently. And like
Mhm.
I said last podcast, this is not a political podcast, and my political opinions are terrible, so I will not be sharing them. But has he made it more difficult for you guys as a company to kind of bring yourselves out there and sell yourselves, or has he made it easier because now you're saying, okay, we have a solution that makes dealing with tariffs actually less of a bitch?
To your answer directly, it made it actually as easier to work with current customers. The reason is that you mentioned because the current administration made the maybe in general the transaction more complicated. That the seller has to like convince the customer saying, "Hey, we don't know how much it's going to be in the end, so you have to cover this like the upcharge of the tariff." That kind of communication is not something that the wholesalers normally don't want to. But because we have those automation feature, like, hey, like add those terms to every single like communication they have with their customers. And that's like easier for them to always add it instead of manually typing a copy pasting. So that's it. Yeah, that in general, the wholesalers, because of the current like the tariff issue, the wholesalers are in a tough situation because they need to always explain the cost upcharge to their customers. At the same time, because that communication is complicated, that helps us to grow, I guess.
Got you. And what's your customer acquisition cost, if you know it?
Yeah, we do not really do that sales activity. However, each CAC LTV is like around 12-ish. So the cost is normally it's almost nothing, unless we have sales team. And the mostly how we're gonna acquire customers on referral basis. If I give you one example is if one wholesaler has around 100 restaurant chef customers, and out of those 100 relationship customers, they're also sourcing from other wholesalers. But if we can incentivize the one of the restaurants, hey, like if you can introduce new wholesaler, you can get like $100 discount for the next order.
Mm,
That's something we can provide and get a new wholesaler, and then that can give another 100 old relationship customer. That's going to be exponential growth for us.
got you. So he's willing to, give the discount of whatever in
Yeah.
order to. Okay. And how do you guys get paid?
We are going to, it's actually under discussion. We're going to charge either commission basis or the subscription basis. Commission is going to be probably 1% or maybe 2%, depending on how much value we actually provide to the customers. But if that's going to be a maybe boundary for the seafood wholesaler to join our product because like 1%, 2% sounds like big, then that's going to be a commission basis. We expect maybe like seven, like thousand each of the 100 per month for the subscription.
Do you think there's potential for people to undercut you, right? Like they make a relationship with a wholesaler and then they're like, hey, we don't need to order through Asakana. Let's just like text and I'll send you the old way.
Yeah, that's possible, but the value that we create is automation that they can capture everything by themselves because they're too busy. Like every 5 minutes they get a new call. Like I'll imagine whenever I do interview with our customers or like any seafood wholesalers, they always get new calls. So they're like, wait a moment, I need to get this call. That happens. If if we can capture them all and then we can make them like everything structured, a quotation, like an order request, that's gonna help so much those wholesalers. And that's why like it's a clear as long as we can provide clear advantage or like benefit to them, they wouldn't switch back to the old way.
Makes sense to me. Okay. I was gonna make a joke. That's what I wanted to say. So there's a third way that you can like make money is
Yeah.
every time someone wants to place an order, make them watch like a 30-second ad. That's a
That,
total joke.
that's
Please,
true.
please don't do that.
That's yeah. I don't. Everyone like talks about ads, but I know like doesn't make any money.
That'd be so funny. It's like you need to like place an order for like no, you have to watch this like 30-second ad. I don't know. That'd be cool. But yeah, okay. So it looks like you definitely know the market in terms of having been a fisherman. And actually, I guess last question here, just out of curiosity, is you went from being a fisherman in Japan to McKinsey and Haas Berkeley MBA. How did that happen?
I was always interested in the seafood industry, so that's the first reason why I wanted to like become a fisherman. So I apprenticed at one rural area of Japan and of the fishermen and learn how to catch fish, process fish, and ship fish and everything. At the same time, I knew that I wanted to like start my own company, and then I know my one of my like weakness is my brain power, and needed to improve that. So that I applied to those consulting firm and then improve like my brain power. And I think I worked a little bit. Like I think I'm a little bit more confident on my problem solving skill set compared to for the time that I was being a fisherman. And the reason why I came to MBA in the US is because I wanted to solve the issue in the US. I experienced my like seafood menu problem when I was a exchange student in Baltimore in the US, and learned that the quality of fish in Japan is way better than quality of fish in the US. And the reason is not because of fish are in the sea. It's not like the fish around the US is bad or fish around Japan is just good. It means it's more like the treatment. How do you handle the fish after once you catch? So that can be scalable. And then from the time that I was undergrad student here in the US, I thought, oh, I need to come back to US to start a business to improve the quality of fish.
Makes perfect
Yeah,
sense. Look at that. So it comes full circle. Well, I'm excited, Yudai, to see where you and the company you founded is going. It's going to be a pleasure to see you go through UC launch as well. I have very high hopes for your company and wishing you all the best going forward, especially with the Y Combinator application.
yeah. Thank you very much, Nikita, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Of course.